came out of the Challengers screening with two main thoughts in my head. One, Luca Guadagnino directed probably one of the best movies that will come out this year. And two, I wasn't sure if I liked it all that much. And over the course of the next few days, I pondered upon it, wrote pages and pages to try and make up my mind and get to the bottom of why I wasn't instantly won over, despite the film being obviously so great. And I think I got it, so allow me to explain. Before we start, make sure to hit that subscribe if you want to see more reviews and reactions. And slight spoilers ahead, so watch at your own risk. Challengers is a movie about relationships and interpersonal dynamics packaged as a sports drama. We meet Art, Patrick, and Tashi at what we later realize is the end of their narrative. We get a glimpse of their current situation. Art and Patrick are engaged in tennis match, and Tashi is looking on from the stands. There's a sense of something deeper going on. Few glances here and there, a nervous look, half a smirk maybe, and it doesn't take a genius to realize that this is not simply a game, and there's something much more serious going on. These people know each other. There's some history. And just as that thought sets in, we are thrown into the past when, in a series of flashback and flash forwards, we discover what exactly went on between those people and what brought them onto this small town Challenger that they are now playing in. Challengers is not a thriller or a murder mystery, but it captures the audience in the same way, turning us all into detectives. With every scene, I had more questions and theories. When we meet young Art and Patrick, still friends and tennis partners, and obviously getting along swimmingly, I wondered, what made them into the bitter rivals they are today? And why are they not seemingly on talking terms in the present day? When Tashi shows up, a sports prodigy and media darling, capturing instantly the attention of both men, I couldn't help but ask myself again, how does she end up the way she does, marrying a certain guy and being a coach, manager, and a mother? Now, these might not be very complicated and advanced riddles, but the constant suspense is enough to spice up the movie and keep you guessing. I think a more linear narrative could never work and would produce a much boring experience, but thanks to the story jumping around, we can make quick connections. We see things from the past that are now reflected on the court. Maybe a line of dialogue said offhandedly that comes back in a certain way to reflect the character's behavior, or a cheeky gesture once established to talk about romantic pursuits in secret, now used to inform your opponent of a vital information. These things could of course be achieved if the movie progressed more traditionally, but I don't think it would have quite the same payoff. Audiences simply like being in on the secret even more so than when they figure things out for themselves. There's a certain camaraderie in being told, hey, this is an important detail, it's gonna come back later, pay attention. And then actually seeing that happen. We get a nice rush, a satisfaction of a job well done. If Luca set up multiple things during the movie and then showed them to us all at once in the final match, the effect would be ruined. But the storytelling choices are not the only thing that makes Challengers great. It's also an absolute feast for the eye. First of all, the cinematography is astounding. Even simple scenes full of dialogue are shot in interesting ways. But when we get to the games, I'm not even remotely interested in tennis, but that movie and the way it's shot makes me want to pick up a racket and try it. The sequences are dynamic when they need to be, then slow down to emphasize certain moments, and most important of all, they are exciting. Especially the last 15 minutes or so are just... I don't even know where to start, because if you want me to go on, this would turn into a shot-by-shot analysis and we would be here for hours. But if there's any doubt in your heart whether or not you should see the movie, go for the visuals alone. They are absolutely worth it. The director has a way of making moments that are important for the plot extremely aesthetically pleasing, but he has some extra help. And I mean the soundtrack. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross came up with a score that not only fits the story really well, but helps elevate it exponentially. The choppy synths are energizing and not that far removed from the natural sound of tennis match, and they appear in moments that sometimes took me by surprise. Seemingly random, but then after a second I realized, oh, this music is not here just as a placeholder or to emphasize the vibes, but also to act as a cue for certain actions. It's loud and it's in our face, and sometimes it cuts as abruptly as it started, and it all benefits the characters on screen. But all of those things, the great directing, amazing shots, and fantastic score, would be nothing if not for the acting. And not really a surprise, but acting was also very good. Zendaya is thankfully finally out of the high school prison, and she is allowed to play a grown woman, and she does it well. Tashi is a cutthroat little schemer that from the very first second seems to have an upper hand in every situation. She's not one-dimensional though. For all the confidence, she's actually responsible for one of the saddest parts of the movie, right after the injury. As somebody who can more or less relate to how she handled that situation, I truly felt so bad for her. On the other side, we have the two male leads that I actually wasn't familiar with before, and I enjoyed those performances as well. I was curious to see how they would handle not only the considerable time jump, but also the change in their shared dynamic, first as friends and then as strangers/rivals. But Mike Faist and Josh O'Connor managed to be charming in both. Okay, so I covered all of the most important bits of the movie, and I can now add that overall it was also just a simply, good old time. The audience in my screening was very responsive, we laughed together, we gasped together, 10 out of 10 evening. What was my problem then? Why did I walk out of the movie theater unable to find any actual flaw, but not fully happy? And my answer is simple and not a fault of the movie at all, I feel like. I simply didn't like any of the characters that appeared on the screen. I don't know why. I definitely felt for them, and I saw their emotions, and I mentioned already that acting was great, and specifically because it was great, I couldn't stand any of them. Patrick gets a little bit of a pass, simply because he never tried to hide his true colors, but all of them were insufferable and the kind of people that I would probably avoid if I knew them in real life. Thankfully, the feeling went away with time, and now, almost a full week after the screening, I can still dislike them, but also think that the movie was great separate from my personal feelings about the characters. And it doesn't subtract from the experience, but I wanted to share it anyway, just in case somebody feels a similar way and maybe couldn't pinpoint why. So, would I recommend seeing Challengers? Absolutely. It does have a runtime of 2 hours 11 minutes, so be ready for that, but I think it's mostly a time well spent. And if you're an enjoyer of great cinematography, this is a must-watch for you. Last thing, really quickly before we wrap this up, going in to see the movie after having read some comments about how sexy it is at times, I was a little bit worried about too many intimate scenes, but it was fine. I don't know what the fuss was about really. Nothing was too explicit and shocking in my opinion. If that's something you were worried about, you don't have to be. It doesn't make for that awkward of a viewing experience, so you're good. Thank you so much for watching. As I said in the opening, I actually wrote so much more on Challengers, so there is a possibility of another video. Let me know if you would like to see that happen. I will try to make it coherent for you, I promise. Till the next time, see ya!